Welcome to Money and Impact. I'm Suzanne Caldeira. I'm a mortgage originator. I've been doing mortgages for the past 23 years. I've done thousands of mortgages. So money is one of the names of this program, and the other name is Impact. I've been able to meet so many great individuals that have impacted me personally and professionally. So throughout this show, you're going to meet people that are in the money segment as well as the impact segment, and some that mix into both segments. And today, I am excited that I have Jen O'Leary, who is a certified divorce real estate specialist, which is a very unique designation. And Jen, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Suzanne.
I am delighted that you're here, and I want to know a little bit about you that you can share with the viewers.
Yes, so I have been doing real estate for a number of years and had gone through my own divorce a number of years ago and realized that it would have been very helpful to have somebody that was specialized in handling the sale of a home that is because of a divorce. So I made it a goal of mine, and in the last year was able to get that certification. And now here I am. I'm the first one, the only one in the state to be what's called a CDRE, which is a Certified Divorce Real Estate Expert. And my certification comes from a group called the Alumni Institute. It's out of California. Curriculum was pretty intense to learn really, everything there is to know about what's happening in a divorce situation. Sometimes we forget that this is an actual legal case that is going on. And selling the home, while it's only a small part of that overall situation that's going on, it's a very, very big part of it, because a lot of times that is the couple's biggest asset that needs to be divided. So here I am, and I'm just trying to spread the word to let everyone know that I'm here and available to assist in this area.
I will say that you must have to deal with a lot of emotion.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something, again, we're trained to work with. I would say, as a real estate agent, just, coming out of school and doing regular transactions, I didn't realize how much I wasn't prepared to handle these complex cases. And some are not very complex, but you're right, there are a lot of emotions involved. Some are highly complex. We're dealing with a very, very difficult situation. And so we've been trained in how to deal with those emotions, how to make sure that needs are being met, but that we continue to move the process forward. We're here, we got to get the house sold. So how are we going to deal with those emotions as they come up so that they don't necessarily delay, or worse, cause a situation where it might impact the amount of equity that we're able to get out of the house. If there's an emotional issue where someone doesn't want to say yes to an offer, and we wait too long, for example, we may lose that offer. And then when is the next one going to come? And is that one going to be as good? And maybe the next offer is, $50,000 less. So there's big financial risk in it to make sure that transaction stays smooth and on course.
And did you notice from having gone through it personally that helps you with being able to connect with these folks better?
Absolutely, yes. While I'm there to sell the homes, but I can certainly be empathetic with what is going on, while also being able to possibly refer someone to talk to while they're going through this. Like, we all need that type of help when we're going through a very stressful time like a divorce. So I think so. I'd like to say that my clients would think that I'm in a better situation because I have experienced it. And it was interesting because when I decided to go into it, I didn't really know what I didn't know, but my experience was that I wanted an agent who I knew I could trust and would keep my confidence and sadly, that isn't always what you see when there is a house for sale that is the result of a divorce. Sometimes that information isn't held in confidentiality, and that could be a very big issue. So that was one of my main reasons for going into it, because I felt that sellers deserved a little bit better. But now that my eyes have been open to all that we can do and how we can benefit that divorce sale, I'm really excited that I took the time to do it.
And not to get too deep, if you don't want to answer this, but at the time, were you a realtor when you went through your divorce?
I was not.
Oh, okay.
I was not. However, I did have, I had my attorney, and I had a specialist in finance, and I had a specialist in lending, and it was the real estate piece that was sort of missing. And as the realtor, we're in the home. We're being invited into a very, personal space during a very difficult time. So being prepared for that and understanding the emotions, like you said, it's not uncommon for emotions to come at me, because they're upset with lots of things, and to be able to handle that and realize, it's not about me, it's not about this, it's not about that, it's about the whole situation that's going on, and getting us back on track and making sure, again, we're going to get from A to Z in as smooth a process as possible, and hopefully get more money out of the house because we did it that way.
Now, if you were to look back at your past situation with working with that realtor, and now with this hat and with your certification that you have and the experience that you have, how do you think that realtor rated?
Well, I don't want to say anything. She did very well. She did do well. And it was not easy. And this is what I find a lot, is you go into a situation where you hear, oh, we're amicable, everything is fine, it's going to be a simple transaction. And that isn't really the way it's always going to stay. As the process moves on, different things come up, different situations happen, different decisions need to be made outside of even the real estate part, and that can sometimes change the dynamic between the couple. It's interesting.
You had mentioned something the first time that I met you, that if you're working in that capacity and you're listing the home for both of them, that your certification prohibits you from acting as their buyer agent on something else, or
Yes,
I wanted to expand on that.
Yeah, that is correct. And so, in real estate, we're always, looking for new deals and new clients, and there's kind of an idea in the industry that if you were to get a divorce listing, that could be a really great opportunity, because you're going to sell the marital home, and then maybe you're going to help each person purchase another home. There's a lot of issues with that, and being able to represent the parties fairly to get that house sold. So my code of ethics, which is a higher standard than the National Association of Realtors expects of us, says when I'm selling the marital home, I am prohibited from helping either one of them purchase another home. I can refer them to somebody, I can put them with an agent that I think they'll work very well with, that will find them exactly what they need, that is highly qualified, that will work with us. But me helping in another transaction is not going to allow me to keep my neutrality while I'm selling the marital home. So it's something we take very seriously, and as you can see, it is a dedication to the process, because there is a big loss there in not being able to take on those other sales purchases that you could be a part of. So it's interesting, but the attorneys I work with definitely appreciate that. They always found it very confusing how realtors could be neutral, unbiased when, we need this house to close at this time, so that one will work. And sometimes there's negotiations that are happening that may not be in the best interest of both parties. So keeping it all separate really keeps everything on the up and up, and again, keeps me as neutral. I'm here to help that divorcing couple sell their home and again, get the most money, because we know nowadays it is not easy to buy a new house. It's very expensive. So getting the most money out of that home so they can divide it in whatever way it has been determined by the courts, take that money and then be able to go on and start chapter 2 or whatever, is available for them or they're looking forward to after this stage in their life.
Any funny experiences that you've encountered?
I always have to make sure that I don't say anything that brings things up. I won't say funny experiences, but I will say positive experiences where we've had a difficult situation getting the house sold, different ideas on what type of offer to accept, high emotions, feeling like I'm dealing with having everyone feeling like they're being heard and their needs are being met, getting to the finish line, and then having one of them call me a few months later and say, all right, I'm ready now to buy, or I'm ready now to rent something, whatever the situation may be. I can then help them then. So having them come back to me after we've been through such a difficult experience, again, it doesn't have to always be difficult, but it is difficult in some way, to be able to say, hey, now I want you to help me do the next stage. That, I would say, has been my biggest happiness, most happiness that I get out of this, to know that I must have done something well, that they trust me enough to bring me back into their life again and help them in another situation.
I would think that comes from your professionalism, but also your ability to connect. Do you share anything about yourself personally with them to say, hey, I know what you're going through?
Yes, I do, absolutely. Again, I try not to take sides or let anyone feel that I'm sympathetic towards one or another, but I will always empathize and say, I understand where you're going through. I mean, I can't understand their situation exactly. Of course, I'm not them, I'm not in it, but I understand it somewhat based on the experiences that I went through. My background also is as an occupational therapist. I don't know if I ever shared that with you, but so I do have training in that as well, and being able to work with people who, in a therapeutic setting. So I think I am able to bring that to my divorce real estate clients, as well as my regular my clients who are just a traditional sale as well, and being able to maybe understand what they're going through, maybe a little bit better than others. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope to think so.
And from the traditional perspective, and I realize that we're recording this at the end of June, and depending on when we air, the market may move a little bit, but a lot of times I run into people and they're like, what are rates?
Yes.
I'm sure when you run into people, they ask you about the market. So
Right.
I'm going to ask you, what's your
Ask
take
me
on the
about
market?
the market. Well, in Rhode Island, we are still very much in need of additional listings. We're still pretty much at a record low for the number of properties that are on the market and available for people to purchase. And then that just, causes that whole backlog, because if there's nowhere to go, why am I going to sell? So we still need people to put their house on the market. We're still in an unbalanced market where it pretty much is still favoring sellers at this point. Not to say there aren't good deals out there for buyers. There are occasions where, for example, maybe a house goes on the market overpriced, and it doesn't sell. And if it sits on the market in this type of market, people think there's something wrong with it. Why didn't it sell? So sometimes there's an opportunity for a buyer to come in and make an offer and get a very good deal. So I would say more listings, please, we need. But luckily in Rhode Island, we're in a really great spot in that our real estate, well, again, depends on what side of the purchasing or buying side, but our prices have gone way up. We're being recognized. We have people moving from all over the country to Rhode Island. Something that's not so good, something that's great. It's definitely a result of COVID, I believe, where people can now work from home. So they're saying, well, if I can work from home, I could live wherever I want. And Rhode Island has been discovered as one of those wonderful places that they may want to do that.
What's your favorite thing about Rhode Island?
Oh my goodness. Two things. I love the people. I grew up in New York, and I went to college in Connecticut, and I came kicking and screaming to Rhode Island. I did not want to move here, and moving here, I felt like I was at home. People are so nice and welcoming, and quirky, right? There's quirky things about Rhode Island, and I love that. And I love now that I say, oh my gosh, I have to drive all the way there, I feel like I'm a Rhode Islander. And I love Newport. It's probably my favorite spot in Rhode Island. I feel like it's such a gem. You know what? And Block Island, I should say too. When I go to those two places, I feel like I'm on vacation. I don't feel like I'm 20 minutes from home. And that's like something very special to have, and that you could drive 20 minutes and feel like, you've taken a vacation, and you didn't have to go far to do it.
Yeah. What was it like for you growing up as a kid?
Oh, it was great. Grew up in Long Island, and Long Islanders think, we are the epicenter of the world. We're New Yorkers. This is where you're going to live forever. And I probably knew I was always going to move away. I have two brothers who happen to be twins. They are 10 years younger than I am. We're both very much a medical family. My dad is an orthodontist. My brothers are cardiologists. I went into occupational therapy. And again, while I loved that, I always knew there was something more I was meant to do, something more entrepreneurial, owning my own business, and that's how I found real estate. But I had a great upbringing, love New York, love still going back. It's nothing like Long Island beaches. They're wonderful. They definitely compete with Rhode Island. So not to say that I don't miss growing up and going to Montauk in the summer, or the Hamptons. Those are great times too.
You might have some debate here from the natural Rhode Islanders, but
yes.
you definitely
yes.
can't beat the coast for sure.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Not
And
at all.
your brokerage
Yes.
is an independent.
It
is not a franchise, and
Yes.
and share about it.
Yeah, so my company, and I own it with my husband, who happens to be an attorney, which is a wonderful thing to have as part of a real estate brokerage. It's called Greenwich Bay Brokers. We changed it to that name about 2020. We are an independent brokerage, so we're not a Keller Williams or a Remax. So we're not part of a bigger organization where we have to pay fees to them or different parts of our commission and whatnot. So we're just a nice small brokerage. We cover Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. We have a good number of agents as part of our brokerage. We're always growing, so if anyone is looking for a nice brokerage to be part of where you kind of feel like family, I kind of think that's how we are. My husband and I, we are a second marriage, and our real estate company really is like our baby. We put our heart and soul into it, and anybody that comes to work with us, I hope feels like they're part of that family.
And how is that dynamic of being a husband and wife duo and co-business owners? Are you always on the same page?
No, not at all, which is so great because we're so passionate about what we're doing that, I feel so fortunate that I have him, because when, I've got a multiple offer situation and I have, 8 offers that have come in and I have them across the table and I have them, this one waived inspections and this one the price is this and this one has to sell a home, and, we're looking at it all and we're trying to dissect it and figure out, okay, how are we going to get this to be the one best offer for our client that has everything they want? And how are we going to negotiate that with maybe these other 8 agents? And having him there and completely understanding what I have to do is invaluable, because we play it off of each other. We talk about it. He'll say, well, this, and I'll be like, well, if I was the other agent, I would say that. And we come to a really great place where then I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. And I go and I know how I'm going to negotiate this deal and hopefully come out with this offer that my buyers in this situation are going to be completely blown away by. That's what I want to have happen. And I like setting records too. There's a lot of neighborhoods in Rhode Island where I come in and I say, you know what, we're going to break a record with this house. And often we do. And I think it's because we have each other to really, again, play it off of each other and talk it out loud and think about it and dissect it and come down to how are we going to approach this. Same thing with our buyers. I'll be like, and he's so good. He loves listening. He loves practicing law as well, but I know he finds the real estate very interesting and fascinating. I'll say, okay, we're going for this house and there's 5 other offers and this is the price and this is what my clients can do and this is what we can't. And we talk it out loud and we're like, all right, this is going to be the perfect situation for submitting an offer for this particular client. So it's nice. Not to say we don't sometimes disagree over things. We do. And it's healthy. I like that. If we agreed on everything and saw everything the way we're going to do the business the same way, I don't think we would have grown to where we are right now. He's got strengths that I don't have, and vice versa. So sometimes, when you want to butt heads, you have to remember, let's just listen and see what we each can offer to this thought and how we can come up with the best solution. So it's fun. It's good.
Do you find that he'll tend to debate you more with him being an attorney?
Oh my goodness, yes. Absolutely. Even just things that are normal discussion or come up for typical husband-wife things, and sometimes I have to say, all right, you can win this argument, right? Because he's trained to to be an attorney and to find a reason and for everything. So sometimes I have to say, all right, let's take the lawyer hat off and let's talk about this differently. But oh yeah, absolutely. And he's a litigator, right? So he spends most of his time in court dealing with complex cases. So yeah, it's in his blood.
And what do you like to do when you're not doing real estate, when you're not talking to people about divorce?
We love to travel. We love to eat. We love to try new restaurants. We love to be out on the water. And we are so busy that we have to really think ahead of what are we going to do and book it, because if we don't, we're almost working every weekend. So luckily we just planned a fun vacation coming up for a few nights in Block Island next month. And it's always like, how are we going to make that happen? But but it is really important to take some time away, have some time to regroup, to kind of regain a sense of wellness, so that I can be the best I can be for my clients when they need me.
Yeah, sometimes you got to slow down to speed up, and self-care is huge.
It is really, really huge. And when you're starting a new business like we have with Greenwich Bay Brokers, sometimes you forget that because you're putting all your attention on the baby, just like when you have the baby, if you had a baby, you're putting all your attention there, and sometimes the attention you give yourself isn't there. So trying to get back on track right now. I've learned how to play pickleball, which has been really fun. I've learned to play mahjong, which is this very interesting tile game. It's complex for me. It's probably not complex for everybody else, but I found it to be complex. And so I'm looking to build in some hobbies and return to some of the activities that maybe I put aside as we launch this business. And now as we're going into like our 5th year, I can start building a little bit of playtime back in.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. And I think for getting to know you better, having you on the program, especially with sharing the process and how you're held to a much higher standard than other realtors. Obviously, I hope viewers, you're not going through a divorce, but unfortunately, I do know that not everything lasts forever. And I do want to say to you, thank you so much, Jen, for being on today's program. Again, you're watching Money and Impact with Suzanne Caldeira. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.